Hey everybody, this is Matthew and welcome back to Nerd News Today, and it's time for another statue review. And today up on deck we have here from Diamond Select, as part of their brand new Walking Dead series, we've got our first look at Michonne. Now this is Walking Dead as in the comic book series, not the AMC live action show. So if you're not familiar with the comic, this might look a little bit funny to you as opposed to what you're seeing in the actual show, but I think you'll still be pretty happy no matter what. So this is basically the artwork of Charlie Adler. He basically took over this series, I think around issue 7 or something like that. It was fairly early on in the run, in the 120 plus issue run, and he became the permanent artist for Walking Dead. So he kind of very much it really cemented what Michonne looks like and who she is as far as visuals go. So yeah, this statue's gonna be really cool, and there's gonna be a whole mess of them coming out. But yeah, let's take a look first at this guy here. And first things first, let's talk about this packaging. And it's like all of their Diamond Select packaging out there when it comes to PVC figure diorama statues. We've got a big old window on the front here, lets you see everything nice in there in the front side. We've got on the left and right some windows, which, yeah, we can see stuff, but not really much, just because this is kind of a smaller statue, as you can see, you know, comparatively speaking to me. Fairly small, fairly slim as well. So really, the most you're going to see is right here through the front. Let's, of course, not forget that we have that handy-dandy Diamond Select sunroof on the very top of the packaging. On the back of the box, we have a look at the statue. This is probably a prototype here that's been painted up for us. We've got, well, not a bio about Michonne. What we have here instead is just essentially an overview of what The Walking Dead is all about. So if you've been living in a mayonnaise jar for the past decade or so, you'll have no idea what it is. So this will hopefully refresh you. It's a fine little bio, nothing too amazing. I've noticed that with a lot of licensed properties like this, they tend not to have personalized bios anymore. It's just more about the overarching franchise. So yes, that's what you're getting over here. But the most important information is it lets us know who made this piece. And this was credited to Jean St. John, who has been with Diamond for a long time and done some amazing stuff with them. And an important note too, that this is a hand-sculpted piece by Jean St. John. This is not one made with digital renderings or anything like that, no 3D sculpting. This is all hand-sculpted here, and then it was tooled to be mass-produced for Diamond Select. So that's a look at the packaging. Let's go ahead and get our Michonne out of the box, get our katana wielded, and take a closer look at her from all angles. And here is our Michonne out of the packaging here. And initial thoughts are, this is actually very cool. You know, to be honest, to be completely fair, I don't know if I was on board completely with the comic-style statues from The Walking Dead. You know, I've been reading it. I've been reading the current re-releases that have been colorized, and I've been enjoying them. I've been enjoying the journey again, so I'm definitely in the comics state of mind right now. But as far as merchandising goes, I didn't really know how I felt about it. But having Michonne here in hand, I definitely feel much better about this piece here, and it really does feel like it's actually capturing the spirit of those comics. And the nice thing about it too is that it's also fairly compact, as you can see here. And I'm going to actually start a little bit differently because I want to talk about the base first. And I was talking this over with Rich from Rageworks, who's joining us today, and he noticed that the base is kind of this like unique looking shape here, and it was bizarre because it's very small compared to like other statues we looked at from Diamond Select. As far as the PVC pieces go, because normally the PVC pieces can be enormous. They could have huge bases, even bigger than the statues themselves that they're meant to be focusing on. But this time around, it's like this kind of small looking M shape here, and we were wondering, like, will this fit in with other pieces? Because there are these particular looking cuts here that almost make it seem like it could squeeze in with something else. I don't think that's the case, but it could be something that they're doing maybe. Or I was thinking this could be a cost-cutting feature, because this is a much smaller base, and this is one of the few statues left from Diamond that's still, you know, not in the $70 or even $80, $90, $100 price point that we're seeing with a lot more of these PVC figure diorama statues. This one here does have an MSRP of 60 bucks. Previously, a year or two ago, they were all 50. Now they've been moving up inch by inch over the last few years. So 60 is now essentially the low end for these kinds of pieces. And that might be part of how they're keeping it at that price point. Let's jump back up to the top for a second here, and let's start talking about the Michonne head and the likeness here. So again, keeping in mind, this is based on the comic books and not on the live action movie. And I think that they've done a good job of capturing her look here. Now, granted, this is not a one-for-one of a Charlie Adler drawing. This definitely does not look like that. I think we're close, but it still is a Diamond interpretation of it. And that's fine also. It doesn't need to be a one-to-one kind of perspective of her looking from as she does in the comic to here in statue form. As long as it kind of captures the essence of the character, I'm content with that, and I think it does. And the nice thing about it being from a comic book is that it does lend itself to having a little bit more freedom in that area. So yeah, I think they definitely took that liberty a little bit here, and it still works. And the nice thing about it too is it definitely does look like the comic, but also has a little bit of the live action in there too, I feel like. Maybe just a little bit of inspiration, because again, we're taking something that's very 2D, and those Charlie Adler drawings are very 2D drawn, if that makes sense to you guys. You know, as opposed to somebody like, let's say, Greg Land, or someone who's more photorealistic. The style of Charlie Adler was a little bit more two-dimensional. That's not a bad thing. It's just how it is. And I think they kind of got that with the eyes, the nose, the jawline, all that. And they found a really great way to make that into a 3D look here. So hats off to Jean St. John for doing that. And while we're talking ahead too, I want to mention the hair. There's some really good detail in there with her locks. And they are all sculpted for the most part. You're seeing a lot of texture inside that. And that was probably not easy because, again, this is hand sculpted here, so you really got to celebrate the artist for doing something as detailed as that. We should also mention, of course, as we get into the rest of the body here, we got to go up top for a moment here and talk about this katana, which is really cool. It's got some blood running on the down across the blade as well. She has some driving gloves to cover her hands, keep her from getting covered in blood as well. And overall, it's actually a surprisingly colorful statue. Keeping in mind that for the most part, our reference point to Michonne in the comics was always in black and white, up until the last, I guess, year or two maybe, when they started re-releasing the books in color format. So this is actually a very bright, vivid looking kind of Michonne. It's not what you'd expect, because I mean, you've got bright greens, you've got purple, you've got some yellows and greens in there, and that really helps it pop. And that's a good thing, because overall the rest of the statue is actually quite dark and quite grim. So those little splashes of color really add a lot of weight to it, and it also makes that blood on the sword feel even more lifelike. Now, also worth noting is that this Michonne piece, she's not just kind of like standing here holding this, she's actually standing here about to strike and about to swing. And you can tell that because of the weight of her jacket, which is, again, really expertly sculpted on all sides. You can see some really nice detail work on that. And the way the movement is going, you can see it here, it's not like it's wind, this is actually the weight of her body shifting. Because this part of the lapel is over here, this part of the lapel is kind of opened up with the hand that has essentially this will call it the power hand, if you will, where she's going to be holding the sword here. So she is about to swing and chop something off. So you do not want to be standing on the opposite side of her when she does that. And I think that's really cool that they got this very stoic piece, which also has a lot of elegance based on the shape of her body and the way she's poised here. But it still has a lot of strength and a lot of power. And it really does, I think, encapsulate who Michonne is. So great job on that. Now as we work our way to the bottom, once again, we're back to that base. And even though it is a smaller base than normal, they still packed in a ton of detail on this base here. We've got a little tuft of some dying plants. We've got a half-sliced zombie head that, to me, looks like the mascot from Iron Maiden. We've got some broken glass on the ground. There's some piles of blood that are very large piles of blood, too. Not like some little puddles. This is just like goo coming out of its head. It's a little excessive, but it's The Walking Dead. That's fine. And we also have this weird little puff of smoke in the back. Now, a lot of the Diamond Select statues will have various transparent or translucent effects of plastic, whether it's like an Avatar piece, or there's like an energy effect, or it's a John Wick piece, there's maybe some gunfire, whatever it might be, there's usually something in the PVC pieces to give you this kind of clear look. And they're doing it here again with The Walking Dead, but this time around, it's a bit of a head scratcher. And especially because it's on the base and because it's fairly small compared to what's going on with the rest of the piece here. So the question is, what exactly is this thing? I would assume that it's meant to be fog kind of slowly going across the battlefield, because again, we do have the story here with this piece that she is in battle and she's mid-pose about to hit somebody. But it's still kind of weird. It's still a little weird to have just this little tiny puff of smoke that doesn't really fit in with the rest of it here. So what I would have liked to have done differently is maybe have this just be a little bit bigger, or maybe have a second puff of smoke somewhere else to kind of just help even out and really essentially contextualize what this weird thing is. And don't get me wrong, I always love a good transparent piece of plastic in my statues, but it kind of needs to make sense. And right now, it's making sense, but you gotta leap through a few hoops to get there. So overall, I think this Michonne is actually a really good piece here. It's a great start to this lineup here. On a scale of 1 to 10 here, I think I can strongly give this one 8.5, maybe even a 9 here. And I'm giving it higher than I do with a lot of the statues that are based on actual likenesses. I mean, I've looked at some Indiana Jones stuff recently, I've looked at some Matrix statues recently, and those have all been 7s or 8s. They've been strong, good pieces, but I think when they're working with stuff like this that doesn't really have as much of an idealized version in your head, you can do a lot more with it, and you can get away with a lot more too. So I think as far as Diamond's interpretation of who Michonne is based on the comics, it's a really solid piece, and it has me salivating for what's going to be coming up next. I think that's a good zombie word to throw in there, right? Just salivating at what could possibly come next at you. So yeah, really great first entry. Can't wait to see what Diamond does next. But hey, let me know what you think about this Michonne statue in the comments below. And if you happen to like this piece and want to buy one for yourself, go ahead and check out my affiliate links in the description of this video below. If you click on any of those links, it helps support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So that is our Michonne from The Walking Dead PVC figure diorama statue by Diamond Select. Really great piece overall. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's next. Like I've said, this is going to be a really cool lineup, and it's going to grow really big because there's so many characters they can cover in this line. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.